She finally met herself. The woman staring back at Sarah from a bathroom mirror was a complete stranger, not in a poetic way, not in some deep philosophical sense. Sarah literally didn't recognize herself anymore. 43 years old, and she had no idea who she was. It hit her like a punch to the gut on a Tuesday morning in September. She'd just dropped Emma, her youngest, at college. The apartment was silent. No backpacks by the door. No music blasting from upstairs. No one calling Mom from another room. Just silence. And in that silence, a terrifying question. Who am I when no one needs me? Sarah sat on the couch, her hands shaking. For 20 years, she'd been Mom. Before that, Mark's girlfriend, then Mark's wife. At work, she was the reliable one who never says no. She'd spent 2 decades being everyone's everything. But who was Sarah? She couldn't answer that question, and it scared her to death. 3 days later, Sarah still hadn't slept. She kept scrolling through old photos on her phone at 2 a.m., searching for clues about who she used to be. There, a college photo. She's wearing a paint-splattered shirt, grinning in front of a canvas. I used the paint, she thought. When did I stop? Another picture, hiking with friends, sunburned and laughing. When was the last time I went hiking? She couldn't remember. Mark found her crying in the kitchen one morning. What's wrong? He asked, looking genuinely worried. I don't know who I am, Sarah whispered. I don't know who I am, and I'm scared. He didn't know what to say to that. Neither did she. That weekend, Sarah did something crazy. She got in her car and drove 2 hours to a state park. Alone. No husband, no kids, no work phone. Just her. The trail was steep. Her legs burned. She was so out of shape it was embarrassing. But as she climbed higher, breathing hard, something shifted. Up here, no one needed her be anything except exactly who she was right now, a woman catching her breath, surrounded by trees. At the summit, Sarah pulled out a notebook she bought on impulse at Target. She stared at the blank page for 10 minutes. Then she wrote, I don't know who I am, and I'm scared. The words looked small and pathetic on the paper, but they were true, and truth, she was learning, was somewhere to start. Sarah enrolled in a painting class at the community center. Her first painting was terrible, like genuinely awful, a messy landscape that looked like a 5-year-old made it. But creating something with her own hands felt like breathing for the first time in years. She joined a hiking group and met Linda and Tasha. Linda was recently divorced, rediscovered her love for photography. Tasha had just quit her job to start a bakery. They didn't judge each other's messy lives. They just walked, talked honestly, and laughed. The hardest part was setting boundaries. When her oldest daughter called asking Sarah to fly out to help with the new baby, Sarah said something she'd never said before. Not this time, sweetie. I'll come in a few months. The guilt nearly destroyed her, but she'd signed up for a painting workshop, and for once, she chose herself. Her daughter was upset. The world didn't end. Sarah started having real conversations with Mark, not the usual logistics about bills and schedules. Actual talks about feelings, dreams, fears. It was uncomfortable at first, like learning a new language. But slowly, they connected in ways they hadn't since their 20s. I've been feeling lost too, Mark admitted one night. They weren't alone in this. They'd just been too busy to notice. One rainy afternoon in March, Sarah set up her easel in Emma's old room. She mixed colors, deep blues, vibrant oranges, and started painting without planning anything. The brush moved across the canvas. She painted for 3 hours straight, completely losing track of time. When she stepped back, she saw what she created. A woman standing at the edge of a cliff, arms spread wide, facing a sunrise. The woman's face was turned toward the light, peaceful and strong. Sarah felt tears sliding down her cheeks, but they weren't sad tears. They were the tears of someone who'd been drowning and finally broke the surface. Later that evening, Mark found her still staring at the painting. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. It's beautiful, he whispered. She looks free. Sarah leaned back against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. She is, Sarah said quietly. She finally is. For the first time in 20 years, Sarah looked at her reflection and recognized a woman staring back. Not the perfect mother, not the efficient employee, not the woman with all the answers. Just Sarah, messy, imperfect, still figuring things out. But real, finally, beautifully real. She'd spent so many years being everything to everyone that she'd forgotten the most important thing, being someone to herself. The journey wasn't over. There would be more struggles, more doubts, more moments of getting lost. But now she knew the way back. Now she knew where to find herself. And that changed everything.